For decades, there's been this really powerful and kind of secretive industry that promised to fix troubled teens. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of its pioneers, a group called CEDU Education, by looking at their own confidential documents. And we're going to trace where their methods came from all the way back to a very strange place, the height of the Cold War. So take a look at this. This is the cover of what CGU called a prop of feet. That was their word for these super intense, multi-day workshops. And what's the first thing you see right at the top? Confidential. The document itself says it has proprietary information that can't be shared. This tells you right away this isn't just therapy being offered, it's a corporate secret being sold.
And then you get to this rule right up front in their agreements. And wow, it's a big one. Just imagine being a teenager, and you're told that the very thing that's supposed to be helping you is a secret you have to keep from your own parents. Right there, a wall goes up. You're immediately isolated from your main support system, and the group becomes the new authority in your life.
And the environment itself, it was just meticulously engineered for total control. They'd take away your watch, so you'd lose all sense of time. No talking to your parents for a week, which just deepens the isolation. And those rules, like you must complete the experience and 100% participation, yeah, those aren't just suggestions. They're designed to strip away your personal choice. From the second a teen walked in, the goal was one thing: total compliance.
So the big question is, what was actually happening inside these secret, super controlled workshops? Well, when you look at the documents, you realize they weren't really like therapy sessions at all. They were much more like a theatrical performance, all pre-planned to get a very specific psychological result. Yeah, and nothing about this was spontaneous. A forensic analysis of their scripts actually calls them theatrical inductions. It's like the facilitators were puppeteers pulling strings. They rehearsed every single thing for weeks, every emotional cue, every piece of music, every interaction. They weren't reacting to the kids, they were marching them down a predetermined emotional path. At the very heart of this process was a principle of forced emotional regression. This simple diagram here from a 1987 prophet shows you the core idea, a pendulum swinging between sorrow and joy. The logic was, to the degree you are willing to feel your sorrow, to the same degree you will feel your joy. So what was the goal? To push these teens into extreme emotional states, basically to get them to break down. This four-step method is pretty much the skeleton key to the whole experience. Step 1. Isolate them from any outside support. Step 2. Induce regression, forcing them into a childlike state. Step 3. Engineer a moment of intense emotional catharsis, a breakdown. And then in that incredibly vulnerable state, you install a whole new set of beliefs, a new personality that's aligned with the group. This line from their imagined prophet is what a forensic analysis calls a declaration of intent. And for good reason. It stated point blank to a room full of minors, your consent is irrelevant. Your resistance doesn't matter. This is going to happen to you. It's a completely chilling statement that shifts the entire dynamic from therapy straight into coercion. So you have to ask yourself, where did this bizarre, systematic approach to breaking down and rebuilding a person even come from? It's not like it just appeared out of thin air. To find its source, we have to take a pretty big leap from the world of teen treatment into the really shadowy world of Cold War intelligence. We are talking about Project MKUltra. You might have heard of it, the CIA's infamous and illegal program that ran for over 2 decades. It was a massive, multi-million-dollar search for the absolute holy grail of espionage, a way to actually control the human mind. And the key figure for our story is a psychiatrist named Dr. Donald E. Wynn Cameron. Now, this guy was highly respected in his field, but with secret funding from a CIA front group, he ran something called Sub-Project 68, and his goal was frankly radical. He didn't just want to influence people. He wanted to completely wipe out their existing personality and program in a new one. So how did he do it? Well, Dr. Cameron's method was basically a 1-2 punch. First came depatterning. This involved extreme methods like drug-induced comas and massive doses of electroshock to, wipe the psychological slate clean. Then came psychic driving, using tape loops of simple, repetitive statements played for weeks on end to write a whole new script onto that now blank slate. Okay, so now, when you put Dr. Cameron's CIA-funded experiments right next to the therapeutic techniques used at CEDU decades later, The parallels are they're impossible to ignore, and they're deeply disturbing. I mean, just look at this comparison. The tools changed, but the principles stayed exactly the same. CEDU swapped out drug-induced comas for isolation and intense psychological pressure. They replaced looped audio tapes with meticulously curated music, repeated slogans, and scripted workshops. But the goal? It was identical. Break down the old self to clear away what's in the way and make way for the new one. But here's the thing, breaking a person down is only half the battle. You also have to decide what you're going to build them back up with. And the CIA's research didn't just stop at creating a blank slate. It also explored what kind of programming to write on it. And this is where we get into a really shadowy and controversial corner of this world, the alleged Project Monarch. Now, a lot of official MKUltra documents were destroyed, but research from investigators and survivors suggests that programmers used well-known stories like Alice in Wonderland or The Wizard of Oz as a kind of software, a framework to structure a new, fragmented personality. According to researchers, The Wizard of Oz was a foundational script. The idea of going over the rainbow wasn't just a song lyric, it was a programmed command for psychological escape, a trigger to disassociate from trauma by entering an alternate, constructed reality. And this is where it gets really wild. That exact same narrative, escaping a black and white reality for a colorful one, appears directly in CEDU's Dreams Prophet. The parallels are just striking. Teens are explicitly told to escape their nightmare, to live in a new dream. It's the same formula. Leave the painful reality of Kansas for the vibrant but totally controlled world of Oz. So how in the world did techniques developed for Cold War interrogation and mind control end up in a curriculum for American teenagers? Well, the line is surprisingly direct. You see, these methods didn't just vanish when MKUltra was exposed. They were effectively laundered. They seeped into counterculture groups like the controversial Synanon cult, then into the broader human potential movement of the 60s and 70s, and were eventually adopted and codified by CEDU's founder, who was himself a member of Synanon. This timeline really just lays it all out. You can see the ideas flowing, one to the next. The CIA's research in the 50s provides the foundation, which Synanon then builds on, which then directly inspires CEDU, a group still using these core principles 30 years later. It's a direct lineage. $25 million. That was the official budget for the CIA's 25-year program to control the human mind. And you have to understand, that money wasn't just for experiments. It was seed money. It funded the R&D that created techniques that would later be repackaged and sold as therapy in what became a billion-dollar industry. So what this explainer has shown is a really disturbing lineage, right? From spycraft to self-help, from mind control to emotional growth. And it forces us to ask a very difficult question. When the methods used to fix a child are derived from methods designed to break a prisoner, what exactly is being fixed? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. It's a complex and hidden history, but it's critical to understanding the origins of this multi-billion-dollar industry. We'll see you next time.